Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. It is a lovely Tuesday morning, October 21st. Everybody, thank you for being here. My name is Matt Morris. We are currently live on Rumble at Matt Morris TV and on YouTube at Matt Morris TV. Make sure to like and subscribe before we get into things, folks. Today, we're doing a special early morning broadcast because President Trump is scheduled to have somewhat of an emergency meeting with the Senate Republicans, the GOP Republicans. It is day number 21 of the shutdown. They're going to be meeting in the Rose Garden on the White House lawn to discuss the current state of the shutdown. Now, folks, they're probably going to be talking strategy. They're going to be updating the nation on where we are with this shutdown. Like I said, we are entering the fourth week. It is day number 21. This has dragged on. Of course, this is the Democrats' shutdown. As a little bit of a recap, there are 53 Republicans in the Senate. You need 60 votes to reopen the government and pass this budgetary continuing resolution. 53 Republicans. You need 60 votes to open up the government. There are 47 Democrats. Only 3 of the 47 Democrats have been voting to reopen the government. 52 of the 53 Republicans have been voting to reopen the government. The one Republican that has not been voting to reopen the government is Rand Paul. He's caught up in his libertarian principles. He doesn't want to do it. But anyway, only 3 of the 47 Democrats have been voting to reopen this beast of a government. And so President Trump is summoned. He's convened a meeting with the Senate Republicans to talk strategy. Yesterday, we got some big news. Yesterday, we heard that Chuck Schumer, we heard some internal discussions sort of leaking out to the public here through some reputable sources, that Chuck Schumer is starting to get ready to capitulate. The No Kings protest is over. It seems like that was a big part of this. It seems like Chuck Schumer is now getting ready to surrender, to capitulate to the Republicans. This whole shutdown has reflected incredibly poorly on the Senate Democrats. Chuck Schumer's approval ratings are catastrophically bad. The Senate Democrats' approval ratings collectively catastrophically bad. And so they know this is a bad look. They know this plan has backfired. Seems like they're getting ready to cave. However, there's some nuance here. The way in which they cave is very important. And let me explain what I mean by that. Like I said a moment ago, there are 47 Senate Democrats right now, 44 of which have been voting no. 3 of them have been voting yes. Now, what this means is that we need another five Senate Democrats to come on over and reopen the government, to vote alongside the 3 that are already voting to reopen. Now, right now, word on the block is that Chuck Schumer and the Democrats, they're trying to figure out which of the 47 Democrats are going to be those 5. Who are the 5 they're going to come over and vote with the Republicans? Okay, because right now there's a lot of pressure from the radically progressive Democrat electorate, the voting base. The voters are saying, listen, Democrats, stay strong, keep the government shut down. A lot of them are. They're in favor of it. Do not vote with the Republicans. But the Democrats, they know, listen, this is catastrophic. This is terrible for the country. It's terrible for our approval rating. And so they're trying to figure out which of the 47 are going to vote alongside the Republicans, which ones are safe. They're not worried about getting primaried out or losing come midterms. So that is what I have heard. This is what's going on, the internal discussions alongside Chuck Schumer right now. Who is going to flop? Who is going to flip? But with that being said, let's get into the big news of the day. That's kind of the little preface here. Senate Republicans are heading to the White House in a show of unity as the shutdown enters its 4th week. Now, Trump is convened a special meeting with the Senate Republicans in 15 minutes from now. So we are waiting around for that to begin, but we have some stuff to talk about, okay? President Trump has a lot going on today, including hosting the Senate Republicans at the Rose Garden Club to thank them for refusing to give Chuck Schumer a $1.5 trillion check for illegal aliens. This is very complex. There's a lot of backdoor deals, backdoor negotiations being made behind the scenes. And we're going to break down all of this today. But we saw yesterday, like I said, everybody seems to think the Democrats are going to vote alongside the Republicans to reopen the government today. Or not, I'm sorry, not today. At some point this week, hold up. At some point this week, they're going to vote to reopen the government. Now, yesterday, there was another vote whether or not to reopen this government. Democrats have now voted 12 times. Democrats have voted 12 times to shut down the government, preventing paychecks from going to our troops, our veterans, and air traffic controllers, and stopping services to women, infants, and children. Chuck Schumer and the Senate Democrats can make this shutdown end immediately if just 5 Democrats, this is what we're talking about, would use common sense and pass our clean 24-page bill to turn the lights back on. And so right now, this is what I was trying to explain. Right now, the discussion amongst the Democrats is who's going to be the 5. You know, you've got 47 Democrats total, 3 of which are already voting. You've got 44 Democrats to choose from in the Senate. Okay, who out of the 44 are going to be the 5 to flip over and vote alongside the Republicans? And they're trying to figure out who's safe, who's not safe, who is it going to be? Those are the internal discussions on the left side of the aisle right now. But yesterday, they voted for a 12th time, keep the government shut down. This is posted by House Speaker Mike Johnson. There's a visualization of the numbers here. 53 Republicans, 47 Democrats. Now take a look at this. Mike Johnson actually made some media tours this morning. He was ripping into the Democrats. The first clip of which is here. Take a look at this.
Real Americans are hurting, and it is so frustrating to us, Cheryl, because the contrast here is so clear. Remember, it was over a month ago that the House did our job, and we passed a clean continuing resolution, a totally nonpartisan, 24-page, very simple piece of legislation just keep the lights on.
That's right.
So that Congress could continue to do the work of appropriating the funds for the annual budget, and also for navigating all the rest of the issues we have on the table throughout the end of the year. The Democrats voted it down. They've done it now almost a dozen times, as you said, because they're playing partisan games. They filed a counterproposal. Let's not let anybody forget what they filed as their counter offer. Their CR is not a clean one, it's a dirty one, because they want to spend $1.5 trillion new dollars on all sorts of wasteful programs, including $200 billion to fund health care benefits on the backs of American taxpayers for illegal aliens. They want to give $500 million back to the Corporation for Public Broadcasting to prop up leftist news organizations. And they want to spend billions of dollars overseas on all sorts of extraneous, crazy kinds of programs. They know we're not going to do that. It's not a serious proposal. This is the first time in history that any party has chosen to shut the government down over a clean CR. They're playing a game, and it's very simple. Here's the reason why. Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries, the 2 leaders in both chambers for the Democrat side, are afraid of their far left flank. They're afraid they're going to get a challenge in New York because Marxism is all the rage, and they're going to lose their seats. So they're putting up a fight. It makes no sense, and real people are getting hurt.
Chuck Schumer knows this is a losing battle. He knows he's not going to win on this. It's all about optics. We've talked about this before. Chuck Schumer himself is very scared. He's deathly afraid of getting primaried out in 2028 election season, 3.5 years from now, 3 years from now, by AOC, who is a congressional rep in the House coming out of New York. Guess what? Chuck Schumer is a senator in New York. He's scared of AOC, so Chuck Schumer is trying to come off as being more progressive, more anti-Trump. He's trying to stick it to President Trump and the Republicans, not because he knows he's actually going to stick it to Trump and the Republicans. It's all about the optics. But it's been 21 days. Take a look at this. Day 21 of Chuck Schumer and Jeffries shutdown, and 13,000 air traffic controllers are right now, right this very moment, working without pay. They're showing up to work anyway. God bless them. Thank God they're still showing up to work. They're still showing up to work, and they're not even getting paid right now. Democrats have one job to do, open up the government. So if you talk about essential services, you talk about government, federal government employees that we actually do need. Trump has been laying off left and right unnecessary, unneeded federal employees. Let's talk about some federal employees that we actually do need. Air traffic controllers. That's a pretty big category. We need those guys. Now, 13,000 of them right now are working without pay because of this Schumer shutdown, because of the Democrat shutdown. That's a big problem. Mike Johnson earlier this morning, he was all over the place this morning. We're going to touch base on this. He gave some more context here.
Democrats used to care about the harm that shutdowns caused hardworking Americans, but now we can all see very clearly that was always based on politics and not principle, because they have thrown the principle out the window. And yesterday, there was an article from The Hill that laid bare that very fact. A Democrat senator was speaking anonymously and admitted, quote, people are going to get hammered if they vote for the House passed bill to reopen the government.
Yeah.
The clean, nonpartisan CR, they're going to get hammered. Another insider said in that same story, quote, we would have enough votes to reopen the government if people were not terrified of getting the guillotine.
Do you see that right now? Listen, this is what is insane, and I think everybody that's been following along, you know this, but I'm going to say this real quick, just to reiterate this. The Democrat base, the electorate, the voters, the progressive voters, they have become so insanely unhinged and radically far left progressive that even the elected Democrat officials, even people like Chuck Schumer and various other Democrat senators, they are scared of their own base. Okay, they are scared of losing their jobs and getting primaried by somebody else a couple years from now, midterms 2028, who's more progressive if they don't stand firm against President Trump right now. The voter base amongst the Democrats is so insanely aggressively, radically far left that even the Democrat politicians are scared of them. And so that is part of the conversation. Now, Chuck Schumer is saying, man, I need 5 of my senators. He's the leader of the Senate Democrats. He's got a headache right now. He's saying, man, I need 5 of these senators to flip over and vote alongside the Republicans. It can't be me. I'm Chuck Schumer. It can't be me, because if I do that, my ass is getting kicked out by AOC in 3 years. It can't be me. I need to find 5 other Senate Democrats to vote with the Republicans to open up the government. Who is it gonna be? And right now, that is what they're trying to figure out on the left.
Okay? They mean it metaphorically, but in a political sense, that's exactly what they're concerned about. And think about the fact that we're just laying out here. These are simple facts. We come out here every morning and remind the American people of what's going on. Do not let them distract you from the facts. The American people would have an open government if Democrats were not terrified of their radical base. That is the headline. Every single one of you should write that. And that's the ugly truth. The Democrats are not governing in good faith. They're covering their own tail. They're out here decrying the so-called forthcoming health care crisis, they say. It's the one that they themselves created. The Democrats created Obamacare. They're the ones that created a subsidy with an expiration date. They're the ones that did all of this. Republicans are trying to fix it. And they're trying to blame Republicans for the crisis they themselves created.
Now, I want to go through this real quick. We have a lot to talk about. This super chat here is about to drop off. This is from John. He says, hey, Matt, can you do a short bio on this Brian Krassenstein hack? Is he paid by the DNC to spout this type of garbage? Maybe someday we can talk about Brian Krassenstein. I saw the super chat here. It dropped off right there. I wanted to cover this. Maybe someday we can, but definitely not today. I appreciate that, John. Thank you very much. Also from Kevin over on YouTube, he says, alter the continuing resolution to make the president and Trump and Russ vote shut down layoffs and cuts permanent. A lot of them are permanent. You know that so far we've seen over 4,000 permanent layoffs in the federal government, purging a lot of these deep state federal government actors that so far for 9 months now have been doing everything they can inside the federal government to subvert and undermine President Trump's America First agenda. Now, Kevin, I appreciate that, and thank you. There's something I want to say here. I want to give a little bit of some context behind this continuing resolution that we're all talking about. Take a look at this. This budget that we are trying to continue, it's a continuing resolution of a pre-existing budget. Where did this budget come from? It was put into effect in March of 2024 under the leadership of the Senate Democrats and the Senate House and the Democrat House reps and President Joe Biden. This is a blue budget. This is a Biden budget. This is Chuck Schumer's budget. They put this budget into effect in March of 2024 when Biden was in the White House. Chuck Schumer, about a year and a half ago, fought tooth and nail to put together this budget. Biden signed off on this budget. What we're trying to do now is pass a 2-month continuing resolution of that budget. Why? Why doesn't President Trump have a new budget? Why can't President Trump have his own budget? Well, it's because the Senate Democrats and the congressional House reps, the Democrat House reps, have refused to work with Trump to pass a new budget. So right now, all Trump has to work with is a series of 2-month continuing resolutions of Biden's budget. And so far in his presidency, 9 months now, that's all Trump has had to work with is 2-month continuing resolution of Biden's budget, Biden's budget, Biden's budget in a series of small continuing resolutions. Now, I'll tell you what, I'll give you my assessment here. I do not expect the Senate Democrats or the Democrat House reps to work with the Republicans to pass a new Trump budget. I would suspect that Trump, for the next 3 years, all he's ever going to have to work with is a series of continuing resolutions of Biden's budget. And the reason I say that is because we know the Democrats are absolutely unwilling to do anything new, anything novel with the Republicans. So if you're sick of hearing about this CR, this continuing resolution, guess what? Buckle in. I think this CR is all we are going to be hearing about for the next 3 years. Now, sometimes so far in Trump's presidency, they've actually passed it, this CR. They've actually, Chuck Schumer, they voted on this thing 3 times. This time they're not. Now we have a shutdown. I think this CR, we're going to be talking about this exact CR, which is technically Biden's budget. We're going to be hearing about this for 3 years, unless Trump and the Republicans decide to go nuclear. You guys know what that means. The Senate Republicans, they could go nuclear. What that means is they could change the rules of the Senate permanently going forward to drop down the threshold needed to pass a new budget from 60 votes down to 50 votes plus one. That plus one can be Vice President J.D. Vance. He's the tiebreaker. Okay? They could drop it down. The reason why they have not is because then it permanently changes the rules. Going nuclear is concerning because if you go nuclear and permanently change the rules of the Senate, what that means is that, well, if the Democrats ever get back in control of the Senate and the House, they get back in control of the Senate, then they get to play by those same rules also. Okay, so that's why they have not already. I kind of hope they do. Here's what I'm saying. Go nuclear. President Trump, pass as many bills as you can, not just budgetary bills, bill. And let's just make sure that the Democrats never get control again. Okay, that's what I have to say. Now, the Senate Republicans, they actually already went nuclear, a different type of nuclear about 2 months ago. There's different types of votes in the Senate. For a different type of vote, they went nuclear. They went nuclear insofar as they dropped the threshold to pass Trump's cabinet picks from 60 votes down to 50 votes plus one. And the reason why is because, once again, Chuck Schumer and the Senate Democrats, they were refusing to pass all of President Trump's appointments. There was a backlog of hundreds. And so the Senate Republicans have already gone nuclear once in one category. Now they might do it in a different category. Now, what I'm hearing is that the official White House page has gone live. This is the Associate Press. We have a beautiful feed coming right out of the White House, but I guess the official White House page on YouTube has gone live. We're going to tune into that here. And yes, you are right about that. So I'm going to pull that up here, folks. Everybody, thank you for tuning in today. I appreciate you all being here. If you are new to the show, please make sure to like and subscribe to today's broadcast. We're live on Rumble. God bless the Rumble chat. God bless the YouTube chat. Everybody, thank you for being here. I saw somebody in the YouTube chat. They just said, Matt Morris is a MAGA shill. Matt Morris is a MAGA shill. You know what? I am a shill for America First. Listen, I am done with all these people, all these podcasters, YouTubers, Rumblers, not putting America first. I am a shill for America First. I do believe we should put America first. Guilty as charged. I won't even deny it. Now, we have a super chat here real quick. This is from Leon Smith. He said, the Democrats should be ashamed of themselves for what they are doing. They should. And by the way, thank God the American people see right through this. We've got 65% of the American people pushing 70% that are appropriately blaming the Democrats for this shutdown. So thank God the American people know what's up. They know really who is to blame here. I'm with you. And thank you. This is from Hexorcist. I would have never thought John Fetterman would be the most reasonable Democrat they have. You know, quickly, I've got a Fetterman clip here I want to play for you folks. Here it is. This is Fetterman this morning, I believe. You're right. Take a look at this.
Are you surprised that vote after vote, it's just been 3 Democrats time and again who voted for this bill? Does that surprise you?
Yeah, it's Groundhog Day, you know, and I'm just saying, and it's not entertaining. That's a great movie, but this is shitty. And now it's like now real damage is going to, are now touching the lives of regular Americans, and we all lose, and it's embarrassing to our allies and to our enemies abroad.
Now I'll tell you what, Fetterman has voted alongside the Republicans 12 times. Fetterman is a Democrat. He's a Democrat. He's a senator out of Pennsylvania, Democrat senator from Pennsylvania. He has voted alongside the Republicans to reopen the government 12 times now. And you know what? You know how the Democrats are responding to Fetterman siding with the Republicans insofar as this shutdown goes? They're talking about primarying him. They want to replace him and kick his ass out of the Senate. I'm sorry. I need to bite my, I need to I need to get a grip here. But anyway, listen. And so other Senate Democrats are scared because they're already talking about replacing Fetterman. Fetterman he's not going along with the shutdown thing. And I agree with you. This is Hexorcist. It is really something. We all know Fetterman has some type of brain damage. He had a stroke, something. I'm not making fun of him, but I am going to highlight something here. It is a little bit curious that the Democrat senator with some type of brain damage is the smartest Senate Democrat. The guy with some type of actual brain damage, bless his soul, he's a human just like all of us. He is the one that's thinking the most clearly through this entire dynamic. It's insane. It is insane. I saw somebody said that Fetterman is a dino. He's a Democrat in name only. Maybe so. And they hate him for it. They want to kick him out. They want to kick him out. It really is nuts. Now, by the way, I'm gonna tell you something, okay? The Democrat voter base is starting to lose their minds. Here we have one of the Democrat voters, because the SNAP benefits, the food assistance benefits, are about to be cut in the next week or two, I believe. And some of the Democrat voters are losing their minds. And I want to play this clip for you. Okay, the heat is getting ramped up here on the Democrats. They know this is looking bad. Take a look at this.
This bitch like Jock, I'm gonna be stealing like it ain't no tomorrow. I am going to go in that store, get everything I get regularly. I'm going to bag my shit up, swipe my link card. As soon as that bitch say, ain't no pending balance on there, I'm going to walk the fuck out. And I'm going to have one of my cousins with me that'll punch your ass so hard, you going to think a Jet 2 holiday hit your bitch ass if you think I ain't finna walk out that store. And please follow me to that motherfucking car. If you feeling motherfucking froggy, bitch, you ain't going to make it back to your motherfucking position at that fucking Walmart store. I'm telling you. You want to take some link? Like, I don't be taking shit already. Watch this. It's okay.
So this is probably your average Democrat voter. Average, fair to say, average Democrat voter. This lovely, beautiful, intellectual woman. She is saying that if, because of the government shutdown, her SNAP food benefits get cut as a consequence of the shutdown, then she is just going to walk into the store and start stealing things. And by the way, this is not a one-off. We don't need to play all of these, but I found at least 4 other videos of similar Democrat voters saying the same thing, behaving the same way.
Y'all, what we doing about SNAP? I use SNAP every month. And
so similar dynamic. Listen, like I said, this Democrat manufactured shutdown is starting to backfire for the Democrats because it is their voters. It is the Democrat voters primarily that are the main beneficiaries of a lot of these federal government support programs. Okay. And right now, they are at risk of losing their federal government-funded benefits. Now, folks, right now, the official White House page has just gone live. President Trump is going to be having a meeting in the White House Rose Garden with the Senate Republicans to talk about the current state of this government shutdown. That is what we're talking about right now. Now, I saw this. We had Pocahontas. Senate Democrat Elizabeth Warren chimed in earlier this morning, 10 a.m. What did she have to say real quick before this whole event kicks off?
Then where does this end? How do you see the off-ramp happening?
I think it ends when Donald Trump tells the Republicans, okay, sit down now and negotiate.
So she still wants to negotiate. What does she want to negotiate? Well, they want to negotiate expanding the budget by $1.5 trillion, a lot of which is for the health care of illegal aliens that should not even be here in the country in the first place. So Pocahontas here, she's still pushing for health care for illegal aliens.
The president has nothing to offer them. There is literally no issue on the table. Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer himself
cannot articulate for you what it is they're demanding. They don't even know. They have a difference of opinion among all the Democrats. AOC says we should go negotiate with her. She and Bernie are the real leaders of the party now, apparently, but none of them can articulate what they want. They're asking for a solution again to an end-of-the-year issue that wasn't even on the table yet, and they know it's going to take a lot of time to build consensus around. It's a political game, and real people are getting hurt, and we're frustrated.
And we're frustrated. And you know what he says about the Democrats? They don't even know what they want. They're saying, hey, you need to come negotiate with us. They don't even really have a list of demands. They know that what they're asking for, $1.5 trillion, really, they have shut down the government in an attempt to extort $1.5 trillion out of all of us American taxpayers to pay for the healthcare costs of illegal aliens. Beyond that, they don't even know what they want. What's the point of this? I don't know. I think the Democrats, they know that their demands are so unacceptable. They know that this is so far outside of the realm of reality that really this can only be called political terrorism. Is that a fitting phrase, political terrorism? Now, Bernie Sanders was on The View yesterday afternoon, and he got absolutely grilled. We're just talking about Bernie Sanders in the Senate. Senate Democrat voted. He himself has voted 12 times now to keep the government shut down. Take a look at this.
It's easier for the politicians in D.C. to go away from each other and say, we will win this way, while people are losing their paychecks. If Congress just said, we're not going to take our paychecks till we figure this out, that would be a noble step in the right direction, I would say.
That's not everybody can afford to do. You got some young people there with kids there.
Not everybody in the Senate or Congress can afford to lose their paycheck when the government is shut down. What about all the Americans that need us? What about the veterans? They're missing paychecks. Thank God President Trump stepped in, found some money, is paying these guys. But, in the absence of President Trump doing that, what do you mean Congress members, senators can't afford to lose their paycheck? What about Americans? What about single moms with kids who are starving to death? They got veterans. What do you mean? What about the 13? Where was that? What about the 13,000 air traffic controllers that are losing their paychecks? I guess they can afford. What about this beautiful woman? What about this beautiful American woman? She can't afford to have her Snap car. She's trying to buy Gatorade and Fruit Gushers and Doritos. She's got Doritos to buy. She can't afford to lose her paycheck.
There can the people that aren't getting paid, though.
I think that's a fair point. I think that's a fair point.
I think that's a fair point. Well, hey, thanks. Thanks, Bernie Sanders. Now, what you should do is vote to reopen the government. You got to vote to reopen the government, folks. Right now, this White House event where President Trump is meeting with the Republican senators is beginning literally any minute now. This is going to flash up any second. The White House page has gone live. Folks, I want to say thank you all for tuning in. For me, it is early in the morning. I woke up early. I feel like my brain is operating a little bit slowly today. Maybe you can tell. I don't know. So this morning, I want to say thank you all for being here. For me, it's an early morning. Maybe I need another cup of coffee. My brain is still booting up. So thank you all for being here. Soon, any second now, Trump is going to be meeting with these Republican senators, talking about the shutdown. Where are we at? What's the plan? What's the game plan here? How are we going to navigate this ever-changing dynamic? Republican Senator Ashley Moody chimes in this morning on Fox News. Let's see what she had to say.
Yeah, the top.
Never mind, hold that thought because we are live. Well, this is the behind the scenes. This is the Associate Press. So we have the behind the scenes feed here. Okay. All right. Now, real quick, what I'll say, as I said, there are 53 Republican senators, 52 of which are voting to reopen the government. The one Republican senator that is not voting to open up the government, his name is Rand Paul. Okay, we lost our behind-the-scenes feed, and we're back. His name is Rand Paul. There's Lindsey Graham. If Trump could work out a deal with Rand Paul, Rand Paul, we got to reopen the government. A lot of people's lives are being inconvenienced. Is it fair to say a government shutdown is a national security risk? It is a national security risk. We got to reopen the government. The point is, if we got Rand Paul over here, if Trump could work out a deal, then what does that mean? That means we need one less Democrat. Maybe it's easier to strike a deal with Rand Paul than it is to strike a deal with one of these Democrats. The difference between needing 5 Democrats and 4 Democrats, that's a big deal. That's a big deal. Now, a lot of people have been calling Rand Paul a rhino, and I understand why you say that. It means Republican in name only. Let me tell you what's kind of in my brain here. When I think of the term rhino, Republican in name only, I think of sort of the George Bush era war hawk, neocon, neoconservative. Rand Paul, I think maybe given the circumstances, it's fair to call him a rhino. I think Rand Paul in my brain, though, is kind of in a different category. But I know why you say it. Do you know what I mean? Do you know where I'm coming from? He's a diehard through and through to a fault. I think it is a fault in this case. Diehard libertarian, a stick in the mud libertarian. And so I understand why people say technically he's a rhino. I think maybe there is kind of a different dynamic. But I know why you say it. I know what you mean. You know what I'm trying to say here. Oh, okay, we lost our feed. And we got kicked out of the White House. Today we got kicked out of the White House. You know what? Why don't we just go ahead and wait for the official White House YouTube feed to go live? And let's go ahead and play that clip I wanted to play for you guys here a moment ago. I think we have a minute.
Yeah, the topic of conversation needs to be, how do we impress upon the Democrats that the time for you to shore up your radical cred, the I Hate America rallies and theatrics are over. You have got to do what's best for this country, the people that are relying on paychecks to provide for their families. You need to buck Schumer, man up, and vote for this bipartisan clean funding bill so we can open back up this country. It is incredibly important that the Dems understand this is on them. We voted 11 times last night, the 11th vote, and they continue to keep this government shut down for nonsense to appease some radical base, and I assume
it is
so
about
that Chuck
the radical
Schumer
base.
can shore up his radical creds.
Chuck Schumer. Now, somebody in the live chat here, I hate to be rude, somebody just said that Chuck Schumer's wife is transgender. I don't know if that's true. I pulled up a picture here. Somebody said that. This might be true. This is Chuck Schumer's wife. Personally, I think she's a beautiful woman. I think that's a beautiful woman. I think this is a beautiful couple. Lovely couple, Chuck Schumer and his beautiful wife. But that is beside the point. That's totally unrelated to anything we're talking about today. There's another clip here. This is from Senator John Barrasso, Republican. Okay, let's take a look at what he had to say. Listen, the stakes are raising. This is day number 21 of the government shutdown, of the Democrat shutdown. What does Republican Senator John Barrasso have to say about this?
Republicans are united, and I expect the president to say, stand strong. What we're seeing here are the Democrats practicing the politics of pain, and it's the American people who are suffering the pain. And it's the millions of military members, TSA agents, Border Patrol, people who go to work every day, and they're wondering when will they get their next paycheck. I talked to someone in Wyoming yesterday who's in that category, and they're saying, still got to put food on the table, try to feed the kids. How are we going to do that? The Democrats don't seem to care about any of those Americans. They care more about the people in their left wing who want to provide health care for illegal immigrants paid for by taxpayers rather than pay the men and women in uniform. It's wrong. They're afraid of their liberal base.
Folks, we need to be totally transparently honest about what's going on here while we wait for President Trump to come out and talk to the Senate Republicans. What is going on is the radical far left in this country, they have decided to effectively just burn the country down. They're saying, listen, we are going to shut down. Not only are we going to aid and abet millions of illegal aliens in our sanctuary cities and sanctuary states, not only are we going to turn a blind eye to radical far left domestic terrorists like Antifa, but also, if the federal government refuses to give us hundreds of billions, over $1 trillion for health care and benefits for illegal aliens, we're going to shut down the government. We're going to shut down the federal government. We're going to shut down the country. We're going to put our national security at risk. We're going to cut off Americans, veterans that actually do need support from the federal government. We're going to put our nation's security at risk unless you agree to be extorted for over $1 trillion. That's what's going on here. Listen, this word that we use all the time is insurrection. How many avenues of insurrection do we need to see? We've got these far left radicals working with domestic terrorists, giving them money, aiding and abetting them, opening up the southern border, trying to replace all of us actual Americans with a bunch of third world illegal aliens. And now they're shutting down the federal government. because we don't want to subsidize their the entire existence of said illegal aliens. This is getting out of control. If you want to use the I word, the insurrection word, I think that threshold has been met. President Trump was talking about invoking the Insurrection Act about 2 days ago. President Trump said, listen, hey, I can do it. If I want, I can do this. In fact, about half of the presidents in this country, I think it's like 45% of presidents throughout American history have, in fact, invoked the Insurrection Act. It's not exactly unprecedented. President Trump can do this, and you know what? I hope he does. I hope he does. I think kind of at this point, I think we are all hoping that President Trump does. While we wait here, if you want to talk about insurrection, House Speaker Mike Johnson yesterday evening spoke about how the Democrats were working with these Soros-funded No Kings protests in Portland. The protests devolved into riots outside the Portland ICE facility. Let's play this one.
John, look, we're seeing a moment of real clarity. The American people can see exactly what is going on right here. These rallies we described as the Hate America rallies because there is no better description. Look at who was involved. Chuck Schumer and the Senate Democrats went out there to participate. They stood arm in arm, side by side, with some of the most radical groups that have ever assembled on U.S. soil. They openly advertised that they were co-sponsored. They were Soros-funded, and they were co-sponsored by the Communist Party USA, the Young Communist League of New York,
and I want to say this again, the optics are important. Setting the narrative right here. If your rally is funded and sponsored and paid for by the American Communist Party, is it fair to say it is a communist rally? Is the No Kings movement a communist movement? Is this, what did we see a couple days ago, a series of communist rallies across the country? Yeah, it's fair to say that given they were all funded, bought, and paid for by the American Communist Party. And if you're not there with me, let me give you a hypothetical here. Let's say there was a Republican rally, a Republican march, and it came out that the Republican march was being funded and paid for by the American Nazi Party or the American Fascist Party. Would it be fair to say that that Republican march was also a Nazi march or a fascist rally? You know, the Democrats would be saying that. You know, absolutely they would be saying that. Therefore, I think it's fair to say, yeah, the No Kings movement, this is a communist rally. It's a communist movement. It's communist. It was a nationwide communist march. It's funded by the American Communist Party. Totally fair. Of course, it's fair to say that.
And all the other radical groups, they're out there championing that issue. Now, listen to these people's own language, Sean, what they stand for. It is completely the opposite of what America was founded upon. They don't like living here. They don't like capitalism or the free enterprise system. They don't like the founding principles of the country, individual freedom and limited government and the rule of law and peace through strength and fiscal responsibility, free markets, human dignity. They're against all of that. And they go out and they put out these radical messages, violent messages. They want to call for the murder of a president who's already survived 2 failed assassination attempts, and they're mocking the death of Charlie Kirk. These people can be evaluated and judged on their own actions, and I think everybody in the country can see exactly what's going on here.
And we all know, and now up on the screen here, we have footage coming out of Portland. They said, oh, it's all, this entire No Kings thing is all peaceful. It's just a series of peaceful protests. Well, back in June, when the first set of No Kings protests happened, they did devolve into riots, like serious full-on riots in Los Angeles and Chicago. They were blowing up police vehicles, like literally they were blowing up police cars, blowing up civilian cars. A couple people died. They were throwing rocks at police horses and federal immigration officers off of the overpass. There were a series of shootings in Chicago. It was similar. And now what we saw 3 days ago on Saturday was that this peaceful No Kings protest in Portland, Oregon specifically did in fact devolve into a riot. And we've all seen the footage of that. Now we've got a little side view. This is, right now we are peeking inside of the Oval Office right now, folks. There's that Ronald Reagan portrait up there on the big wall. Oh, there's President Trump himself. Take a look at that. He's coming on out any minute. All the Republican senators are right outside in the Rose Garden outside the Oval Office door. And they're going to be having a big meeting. Trump has summoned all of the Senates, all of the Republicans in the Senate to talk about the shutdown. What's the game plan? Where are we at? And so really that is the big event of the day. There's Trump walking around. He's coming out any minute now. And so folks, everybody, thank you all for being here today. I appreciate it. If you're new here to the broadcast, please make sure to like and subscribe. We are back full steam ahead. I just can't help myself but going live with you guys every day. There's so much to talk about these days. So thank you all for being here on Rumble. Shout out everybody, make sure and like and subscribe on Rumble. All the likes and everything, it really does help with the whole YouTube algorithm specifically. It really does help a lot. So thank you all. Right now we've got 12,000 viewers on YouTube and we have only 2,500 likes. So hey, if you are here on YouTube particularly, make sure to like today's broadcast. It really does help. So thank you guys for being here. And Trump is coming out here in a minute. I'm going to take over here and go over here and take a look at the official White House broadcast. I'm going to reload this web page here. Nothing yet. They are on standby. It's okay. We've got a little peek at President Trump right now. This really is just absurd that we are 21 days, folks. The Senate Democrats have voted 12 times to keep the government shut down. This is day number 21. We are entering the 4th week of the shutdown. Now, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, the longest government shutdown ever was 35 days long. And that shutdown was similarly about halfway through President Trump's first term. It seems like the Democrats have a plan. If Trump is in the office, if Trump is in the Oval Office, we are shutting the government down. That's their modus operandi. That's how they do it. If Trump, then shut down. It's almost like an equation. Now, random vids by Max, I see the super chat. Thank you. Colombian president threatened to get rid of Trump on social media. You know, I didn't see that. I know the Colombian president, he's not a fan of Trump. I didn't see that one though. Did he really? Trump was throwing some shade, justifiably so, at Colombia the other day, because it's I mean, similar to Venezuela, it's just a massive narco terrorist state. Pretty much the entire Colombian economy is centered around exporting deadly drugs up to the United States. Their entire economy, similar to Venezuela. With Venezuela specifically, it's such a shame because Venezuela, they say, has the largest untapped oil reserves anywhere in the world. They've got the most oil of any country. Venezuela could be a utopia. It could. They could have all the money they wanted if they were properly governed. But they're not. They're being governed by a literal communist narco-terrorist. His name is Maduro. The U.S. Department of Justice has a $50 million bounty on Maduro because he is a communist narco-terrorist who has, I mean, his policy, his narco-terror policies have directly resulted in the loss of lives. Over 400,000 or 500,000 American lives are on his hands because of all the fentanyl and various other drugs that he has shipped up here to the U.S. Right now, you've got the mainstream media and the Democrats having a total meltdown that President Trump, there he is, has been blowing up these narco-terror boats. In fact, Rand Paul, you want to talk about Rand Paul? Rand Paul. It's like, dude, get a grip. Rand Paul has been complaining every day that Trump has been blowing up narco-terror boats. Dude, come on. You're going to take to Twitter, you're going to go on X, and you're going to critique President Trump for blowing up narco-terror boats before they can deliver their payload of dangerous drugs into the United States. Dude, come on. Out of all the things to complain about, that is what you're going to complain about? We got to knock it off. We got to start solving these issues here. It's getting ridiculous. Maybe President Trump just signed an executive order there. That's what it looks like. I don't know what he's doing. Trump is coming on out of the Oval Office any second now, and he's going to be talking to these Republican senators about the current state of the shutdown. It is day number 21. And I want to say once again, thank you all for being here. Folks, I don't want to brag. You know what? I am going to brag a little bit, but I'm not bragging about me. I'm bragging about you guys. I'm bragging on behalf of you. Guys, this broadcast here, we're doing every day. The videos we do, the live news coverage feeds that we do, we're doing one right now. We are doing the numbers that multi-million-dollar media organizations do. You know that we here, this community, and it is a community, we are competing. We're going head-to-head with these multi-million-dollar operators. They've got production teams. They've got multi-million-dollar studios. They've got writing staff, editorial staffs. They've got millions of dollars are being put in to manufacture their broadcasts. Here, it's you, it's me. This is a one-man show. I want to say thank you. I appreciate it. Really, really, I am. So thank you very much. We're a good team. We are. Hey, us here, we are a good team. You know, I'm not sure what it is. Maybe here it's a little bit authentic. I don't know. I don't know what the difference is, but I'm very lucky you guys are tuning in. I appreciate it a lot. Thank you all very much. We're doing our best here to set the record straight on all this just absolute mayhem that's going on around the country. Somebody's got to do it. So hey, it's us. So we are doing it. We are doing it. I think a lot of these broadcasters out here on YouTube and on Rumble all over the place, they kind of forget what the dynamic is. They kind of forget that without the audience, without the support from the audience, that's you, there is no broadcast. There is no broadcaster, there is no me. Without you, there is no me. There is no show. So I think a lot of these guys, they tend to get a big ego. They get a little bit, oh, I'm the most important guy in the world. Listen. You only, as a broadcaster, you only have the value that other people put into you. You know what I mean? So you guys, I'm very blessed. We have got a good community here. I really appreciate it. I really do. Glenn Welch, he says something very smart. Glenn says we need the Insurrection Act now. You know, I've been over the last couple days, I've been trying to think here, what is the holdup with the Insurrection Act? Trump might be waiting to invoke the Insurrection Act until after midterms. The Trump administration, they might be concerned that the Insurrection Act might complicate midterms. They might be holding off until after midterms to do that. That's one plausible theory. I'm just trying to make sense of the situation here. Another dynamic here is that President Trump might be thinking to himself, well, you know what? The Insurrection Act, it's a little bit controversial. We might not need to do it if we can appeal to the Supreme Court, and if the Supreme Court allows us to deploy the National Guard wherever we see fit. And you know that's on the Supreme Court docket. The Supreme Court, within the next month and a half, 2 months at most, by the end of the year, they said, they are going to take the case, does President Trump, the commander-in-chief, have the unilateral executive authority to deploy the National Guard to squash these far-left domestic terror uprisings, like we have seen in Chicago, like we have seen in Portland? That is up in front of the Supreme Court soon. Okay? So maybe President Trump is holding back on the Insurrection Act. He's thinking, hold up, let's just wait and see what the Supreme Court does. Now, yesterday's big bombshell news, and I was happy about this. I think all of us were happy about yesterday's news. We had this Ninth Circuit appeals court, lower federal court. They issued a ruling. They said, actually, Trump, go ahead. You do, in fact, have the authority to deploy the National Guard to the streets of Portland specifically. That ruling we talked about yesterday was about Portland, Oregon specifically, not nationwide. The Supreme Court, they're talking nationwide here soon. Here's the president. Are we live? No. We're watching the Associate Press right now. Here we go, folks.
Hello, everybody. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the
what
President
a friendly
of the United
group this
States.
Is. No.
We're going to watch the official White House feed. The quality's a little bit better. Thank you, folks.
Hello, everybody. Thank you very much. Thank you. What a friendly group this is. No Democrats are here, right? Well, I want to thank everybody. This has been a labor of love. You know, we took over a building that was not properly taken care of. It just wasn't. It's a very special building, and we are taking care of it. This was grass, and when you have a news conference, and this was going on for many years, but everybody would just sink into the mud. It was extremely luxurious grass, especially when it was raining, because you'd go down about 5 inches into the mud. And when we had a press conference here, all the press standing back there, they'd be cursing me. The women would be lifting up their shoes, saying, "You've destroyed my shoes. This is terrible." So we got a stone that's the exact same stone and color as the White House itself, because we wanted the friendly feeling of that light color. And it reflects the sun, and it keeps you cool even in the summer. And we've had press conferences. We finished it about a month ago. This is, as you see over here, the Presidential Walk of Fame. And we had this long wall with half windows because that used to be a swimming pool on the other side of the wall. That was the swimming pool where Jackie would say, "I hear women inside." Are women inside? Quite a famous, I'm not saying anything, this was a part of a movie. and the Secret Service said, no, ma'am, there's no women inside, ma'am. I'm sorry, ma'am, you're going to have to move along. But I hear women inside, no, ma'am, you'll have to move along, ma'am. So that was the famous swimming pool. Now it's even worse. It's for the media.
They had a swimming pool.
They covered
in
the
White
pool up.
House.
They covered the pool up, and now it's for the media. And I think we have a small representative group. I don't think they allowed the rest of them. I can't believe it. What happened? They're all on the other side of the wall. Can you believe it? Because this is supposed to be sort of a private event. And there is no such thing in politics as a private event. Lindsey, you learned that a long time ago, right? The great Lindsey Graham, doing fantastic. You're up 34 points, Lindsey. That's not bad, I'll tell you. It's not bad. So we did the Presidential Walk of Fame from the great George Washington all the way to, well, I think we have to rate him above me. So less than great, less than George. Somebody went up there, they say, you're the third best president in the United States. This was on television, third best. And they said, who are the first two? George Washington and Abraham Lincoln. And I got extremely angry at this man. You know, you can't. It's going to be tough to beat, Mr. Senator. It's going to be, John. It's going to be very tough to beat Washington and Lincoln, but we're going to give it a try, right? Hey, they didn't put out 8 wars, 9 coming. All right, we put out 8 wars, and the 9th is coming. Believe it or not.
I hope so.
So I just want to say it's great to be with you. And when we're finished later on, we're going to have a little quick lunch, and they do great food at the White House. And this is used sometimes for evening, where we've had some incredible people for the evening, and some of the big foreign leaders have been coming. And most excitingly, on the other side, you see the fence and the wall. We're building a world-class ballroom. You know, for 150 years, they've wanted a ballroom here. We don't have a ballroom. We have a little cocktail area, but we don't have a ballroom. The East Room, it's called, is a very small cocktail area. It holds about 88 people if it's tight. And I said, if I do this again, I'm going to get a ballroom built, and we're putting up our own money with the government is paying for nothing. You probably hear the beautiful sound of construction to the back. You hear that sound? Oh, that's music to my ears. I love that sound. Other people don't like it. I love it, Josh. I think when I hear that sound, it reminds me of money. In this case, it reminds me of lack of money because I'm paying for it, so it's the opposite. But it's going to be one of the most beautiful ballrooms anywhere in the world, and it's going to be able to take care of tremendous things. When you have, as an example, I'm going to see President Xi in 2 weeks. I'm going over to
really?
South Korea. We're going to meet in South Korea. We're going to talk about a lot of things. They want to discuss the fact that they're paying 157% tariff. It's a little higher than they thought. And we're doing very well. I think we're going to do well in that negotiation. We've done well, as you know, with Japan, with South Korea, with Europe. The European nations got together. We made a deal. And it was all based without the tariffs. You could have never made the deal. I'll tell you what, tariffs equal national security. Remember that. Tariffs equal national security. You got to remember that. And they also equal wealth for our nation, because we've taken in hundreds of billions of dollars in a very friendly manner, given to us by nations that used to take it from us. And they used tariffs on us. We never used it on them because we were foolish, or we were led by people that weren't business people. But it really does. It equals national security. And I wouldn't have put out, I mentioned 8 wars, 9 coming. Of the 8, 5 were based solely on trade and tariffs. India, Pakistan were going at it. 2 nuclear powers, and serious nuclear. 7 planes shot down. They were ready to go, and I called them up. I said, you go to war, and we're not doing a trade deal. And they said, well, what does one thing have to do with the other? I said, it has a lot. You're nuclear powers, and if you do it, we're not doing a trade deal. And 24 hours later, they called me, we have decided not to do it. We stopped the war. We stopped the potential disaster, a nuclear disaster, because of trade. And it's been really amazing. But the tariffs have made us a wealthy country. They've given us tremendous defense. They've given us things that we can do for other countries, very positive. But again, really, it's national security, it's national defense, and they are so important. And it's incredible that presidents, for the most part, didn't know how to use them, when to use them. If you go back, you'll see some of the presidents that were the most successful were believers in tariffs. And I even see foreign countries now that we are doing very well with taking ads. Don't go with tariffs. They're taking ads. I saw an ad last night from Canada. If I was Canada, I'd take that same ad also. But they're actually on television taking ads. But I do believe that everybody's too smart for that. We have a very, very big and important case coming up. We should win the case based on the legal merit. We should also win the case based on all of the things I just said. But we're a wealthy country again. Last week, as you know, they found $31 billion. They came to see me. Sir, we found $31 billion. They said, we don't know why. I said, was this a good find or a bad find? It was a good find. It was a plus 31. We're used to finding negative 31s, right, for the last 30 years. I said, check the tariff shelf. Well, those tariffs haven't kicked in. Yes, they did. They kicked in 2 months ago. Check it. He comes back 2 hours later. Sir, you were right. We have an additional $31 billion, billion, not million, Lindsay, billion, that we just found from tariffs. They kicked in earlier than we thought. You were right. We're a wealthy nation again, and we're a nation that can be secure. We're a nation that can start paying down our debt. And with tariffs, we're the wealthiest nation ever in the history of the world. Without them, we've got to slog. We've got to slog. But remember this, other nations, including China, Japan, European nations, they used tariffs against us for many years.
Yes, they
That's
do.
why we owe $37 trillion. That's why.
Yes,
but they used tariffs very successfully against us, and we had presidents that never fought it. But now you have a president that does fight it. So I just want to welcome you to the incredible Rose Garden. It's just an incredible place. It was done. We did it, brought it back to health. It was in very bad shape, actually, and we brought it back to health. First Lady Melania did a fantastic job on it. The surrounds and everything. It's all brand new wiring. You know, underneath there's a lot of wire, a lot of things. Everything brand new, everything beautiful. The only thing we did is we had to get a hard surface here because nobody could use it because of the grass. So I just want to welcome you, and I hope you're going to be here a lot. We're going to use it for meetings. We're going to use it for press conferences. Now we can use it. It was unusable before, and now we can use it. But everything that you see was redone. All of this was redone, and the whole White House is being redone. Some of you came through they call the Rose Hall. They call it different names, but you probably noticed. I don't know if you came through this door. Did you notice the white marble floor that was put there? That was made out of Home Depot tiles, about 1 foot by 1 foot. They were all broken, about 30 years old. And I replaced it with book-matched marble, paid for by your friend, President Trump. It's like, it's amazing how people like it when you say you paid for it. When I say I paid for it, they say, oh, I love it. But they did a beautiful job. The great talents. They're very talented marble people I have, and they replaced it with beautiful Paradiso marble and statuary marble, and it's really, really beautiful. I want to thank the outstanding leadership team, and you really do have that. Majority Leader John Thune, who's been my friend, he really has done an amazing job. Thank you, John.
Tough job.
Thank you.
Being the Senate leader these days.
Done an amazing job. I didn't get to know John as well in the first term, and I've gotten to know him very well over the last 9 months, John, and you're doing a fantastic job. Thank you very much. Really great. Majority Whip John Barrasso, who's outstanding man. Thank you, John. Thank you. Great guy, too. Conference Chair Tom Cotton. He loves that military. He loves the military. Policy Committee Chair Shelley Moore Capito. Shelley, thank you very much, Shelley. Vice Chair James Lankford. Very good. James, thank you. And you know, we have everybody but one person here. You know, everybody showed up. I figured you'd have like...
Is it Paul?
I'd say 40 would have been a good number, right? We have everybody. We're just missing one person. You'll never guess who that is.
It's got to be Rand Paul.
Let me give you, he automatically votes no on everything.
Yeah.
He thinks it's good politics. It's really not good politics.
Yeah.
He's an automatic no. But I don't know. Look, if he wanted to come, I'd probably let him come, right? I'd let him come. begrudgingly, but would let him come. And National Republican Senatorial Committee Chair, an unbelievable guy, Tim Scott. You know, Tim, I shouldn't say it because it's so, I don't know if it's good or bad, but Tim ran, and he was very effective and very good, but he was on the debate stage and everything else, he was good just because he's good. But he wasn't as good as they thought he was. And when he got out of the race, he endorsed me almost immediately. And I used him as a surrogate. And I wasn't sure if I should because, you know, sometimes I want a total lunatic to get up and fight for me. And Tim is a really good person. So I wasn't sure. And I put him on the stage, and he ripped the heart out of everybody. He was so brutal. He was so unbelievable. It turned out to be absolutely one of my best surrogates. And it includes a lot of you people that were here. You were all surrogates. But Tim ripped these people apart. And after watching 2 or 3 times, then I wanted him all the time. Right, Susie? I said, I want Tim Scott, get up there. But he was so good. And I said to him, Tim, when you fought for yourself, you were much different. When you fought for me, you were a tiger. You were like unstoppable. You were, really was. You all saw that. What's the difference? He said, I've never liked selling myself, and I love selling somebody that I really do believe in. I really believe in you, and I just felt that way. And it was so nice the way he expressed it. And I want to tell you, you are a champion. You are a winner, and congratulations. Thank you very much. I never love telling that story because I'm not sure if it's a good or a bad story, but I'm telling you, you are an amazing guy, and you fought for me so hard, and I really appreciate it. You got to be my #1 choice, Tim, so something happened. I appreciate it, and you're doing great doing what you're doing right now. I also want to thank the entire Senate Republican Conference for your tremendous work on confirmations. Boy, did we have a couple of weeks, huh? We had some, I signed like 150 of them, and I didn't use an auto pen, by the way. I signed. You know, when you're signing these important, like a general getting approved from 3-star to 4-star and all of these different things and big confirmations and, you know, big stuff, you really have an obligation to actually sign it, I think. You probably noticed right there, number 46, we put up, right? We put up a little bit of an auto pen. We have 46. We have 45. We have 47. It's very interesting. Yeah, 46 is an auto pen. It's up there. It stays up there. People like it. It's probably going to stay up there for a long time. It's true. And I know you're looking into that. And by the way, the auto pen person said he never spoke to Biden. He worked the auto pen. You're not allowed to do that. So if you're looking at anything, just remember it. And remember, they treated us very badly. They treated us very, very badly. So I think you're allowed to just report the truth, including the confirming of my cabinet much faster than first time. I mean, we went so fast, and I give John Thune and all of you credit for that. It was amazing. All of a sudden, I was calling John, I've got to get him approved. Come on, John, because I was getting like one every 2 weeks. And you know, I had people, they left their job and they left everything, and it looked like they were. All of a sudden, it was like an avalanche. They walked in, James and James, my double James, I call them. They walk in, and they had like so many of them. I said, you got to be kidding. Is this like, are you for real? Right, James? John Thune did his job, and you got them all done, and you have all those people out there working now. And instead of being very upset with the fact that we couldn't get them approved quickly. So I really appreciate it. You used a method that I wish you could use on U.S. attorneys. You know, I have 10 U.S. attorneys who are phenomenal. A Harvard, a Yale, a this, a that, all top. And the problem is they're not going to ever be confirmed, I guess. I put them in. They'll be there for 3 or 4 months, whatever it's, and then they have to leave. Because anytime you have, as you know, anytime you have a Democrat senator, not even 2, just 1, they'll say because of the time we're in, we're not approving that person. We're not approving. They never do. They won't approve. And therefore, because of blue slip, I have to tell the person after 3 months, I'm sorry, you'll have to leave. And I put somebody else in. And I've had Democrat senators say the only one we'll ever approve is a Democrat. This is not constitutional. And you really, I hope you can look at that blue slip thing, because I have 10 people that are phenomenal, and they're going to have to leave office. Highly educated, top of their class, everything, and they're going to have a mark on their career that they were a U.S. attorney for 3 months or 4 months, and then they had to leave. And that's so unfair. It's unfair to the public because the public voted for me in a landslide, and I'm supposed to be picking the U.S. attorneys. And this goes for judges also, but actually more so even for the U.S. attorney with a blue slip. So I have these phenomenal people, many of them young, but truly fantastic people, and they're wondering what's going to happen in another 3, 4, 5 weeks. They're going to have to leave office. I think it's a shame, and I hope you can do something about it, because I'd like to tell those people, we put you there, and you're not going to have on your resume for the rest of your life, you were there for 4 weeks or 6 weeks, and you left like you got canned. So I hope you look at that. Very important. And after your pivotal changes to the Senate rules last month, as a result, this is what you did, the unprecedented obstruction by the Democrats. We've confirmed more than 175 public servants, people that are phenomenal, to keep posts, and that's just been over the last couple of weeks. It's an unbelievable thing what you've done, John, all of you together.
They went to nuclear.
So working closely with me and House majority, the Republican Senate also gave us the largest working-class tax cut in American history, and you passed the Lake and Riley Act to throw illegal alien criminals out of our country. You passed the Genius Act and the Take It Down Act with the support of our wonderful First Lady. By the way, she got actual support from the other side. It was bipartisan. I think Rand didn't vote for it again, but
He's not a fan of Rand
I think
Paul.
it was only Rand. You had bipartisan support, other than maybe Rand. But another one I'm going to ask you to vote for, and it's in the House now, and I hear it's doing well in the House, James. It's Kate's Law. A young lady named Kate Steinle, I remember it so well, probably 8 or 10 years ago now, in San Francisco. She was holding hands with her father on the San Francisco pier, looking out into the water. It's beautiful, everything was beautiful, but the person wasn't beautiful that did this. And this was an illegal alien that came into our country 5 times, was thrown out 4 or 5 times, I don't even know, but a lot, and came back and shot her through the head. And she went down and she looked at her father, Daddy, Daddy, something happened, and she immediately passed away in his arm. And, I mean, you can imagine, it was so sad, such a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful person. Father was destroyed, virtually destroyed. And they they wanted to pass what they call Kate's Law, and it's now again in Congress, and I hear we're going to get it passed in Congress, and when it gets up to the Senate, I hope you guys can pass it. And basically, very simply, it says that if you're an illegal alien and you come in and you get thrown out, if you come back and get caught, you have to spend 10 years in jail. Very simple. Very simple. If they would have had that, Kate Steinle would be alive today. That was a big event at the time. If you remember, Bill O'Reilly, for those of you that like Bill, I think I like Bill, but
it's a little bit too soft for me, to be honest.
He devoted his life to that law, trying to get it passed. I think it's time that we pass it, so that if you get taken out of the country and you come back illegally, knowing that this law is in existence, you go to jail for a 10-year period, and it's going to keep the repeat offenders from coming in. It's going to really keep them from coming in. Senate Republicans have already voted 11 times to get our government back and open for business. We have record business. We're going to be, I think, by the time I had my...
Real quick, between you and me, I think violent illegal aliens should not be deported. I think something else should happen.
As an example, President Biden had less than $1 trillion for 4 years. We're going to have $20 trillion in less than 12 months, and we're over $17 trillion right now. So it's the largest amount in our country by far, by many times. That's in our country. But here's the one. It's the largest amount in the history of the world. There's never been a country that's had anywhere near 17, or it will be 20, and it's going up fast, A lot of it's because of tariffs, because they're coming in because they don't want to pay tariffs. In other words, they make their product in a certain country and they used to just send it in here and there was no charge. Absolutely. Now, if they have to pay a 20%, 30%, 50%, 100%, or 2% tariff, they say, well, it's better if I build my plant in the United States. It always amazed me I did this first term. We had the greatest economy in the history of our country in first term. We had COVID, and we did a good job with that. That was a curse for every country in the world. It was terrible. But we had the greatest economy we ever had. But if you remember, I started the tariffs, but I held it off because it wouldn't have exactly been good at the time to tell France, you know what they were going through, you know what Spain was going through and Italy was going through, that, by the way, we're going to charge you tariffs. But I had started the process. We were going, the country was doing good. And I took in hundreds of billions of dollars from China. I put the full tariffs on China. Biden left the tariffs because he couldn't. It was too much money, but they gave so many exceptions that they were essentially meaningless. In other words, here's the tariffs, but you don't have to pay if you look at somebody the wrong way. You don't have to pay. So they didn't pay very much. But with me, they were paying hundreds of billions of dollars. And again, I have a great relationship with President Xi. I expect to be able to make a good deal with him, and I want him to make a good deal for China. But it's got to be fair. For years, they were making $500, $600, $700 billion, $700 billion, and we'd be making nothing. It was a one-sided. Honestly, we built their military. We built China's military with the money that we lost for so many years, getting ripped off.
China doesn't.
So
want
now we're
fair.
going to have a fair
That's
deal. And I think we're going to have a very successful meeting. Certainly, there are a lot of people that are waiting for it. Maybe it won't happen. Maybe it won't happen. Things can happen where, for instance, maybe somebody will say, I don't want to meet, it's too nasty. But it's really not nasty, it's just business, and we're gonna do a good job representing you people and representing the people of our country. Unfortunately, in a craven and pointless act of partisan spite, Chuck Schumer, who I've known for a long time, and the radical left Democrats are holding the entire federal government hostage to appease the extremists in their party. And they are extreme. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. They're extreme. And you know what? We had a landslide election. We won the popular vote by a lot. We won the swing states, all 7. Remember, they said, oh, if Trump could get 3 swing states, he'd be. And, well, I didn't get 3. I got 7. We got all 7 by a lot, by record numbers. We won the Electoral College, 312 votes. They said, it's very hard for a Republican. It's harder for a Republican. Although now I think we've swapped it. I think it's now harder for a Democrat. Because if you see what we've done with the Hispanics, with the black workers and black men, and recently a poll came out with black men and women were doing so well. You know, they want security. They don't want to have their city destroyed. Women in Chicago, beautiful black women walking around with red MAGA hats.
BBWs.
Because they don't want to be mugged and shot and everything else. And then you
MAGA,
see
BBWs.
A Democrat get up and tell you how safe it is in Chicago. Do you know they've had, in a fairly short period of time, 4,000 murders. This is over a short period of time, 4,000 murders. And they had a holiday where they had 28 people killed and almost 100 shot. And then you listen to this guy, Pritzker. I've known the family for a long time. They threw him out because he was no good, and he became governor. He's got money through the family. He's got money through the family. But they threw him out. He became governor. I said, I wonder how he's going to do. It's a crime palace. It's a shame. And you know what we did in D.C. is unbelievable. You people, you can walk down the middle of the street, Mr. Senator. You can walk down. You can have your wife meet you at the restaurant, and she's not going to be accosted, shot, beat up, raped. It's unbelievable how bad it was. It was one of the worst in the country, and now it's stone cold. I don't say the word perfect, but it's pretty damn close. And, you know, they would average more than a murder a week in Washington, D.C. This is just before we got here, a murder a week. Think of that. The capital of,
that's nuts.
In my opinion, the capital of the world. They come from Iowa, they come from Indiana, they come from Florida. You call up the parents, I'm sorry, sir, your son has been shot and killed. We have no crime here now. We have no crime. And the National Guard has been unbelievable, the job.
Yep.
Unbelievable. And you know, it also looks better. I do a tour. I hop in that beast. I feel very safe in the beast. The windows are this thick. But I hop in the beast and I tell the Secret Service, let's drive around town. I used to do that myself. I could drive myself around. I actually like that better. But now I don't think it's a good idea. But we drive around in the streets. The place is looking the grass is good. The fences are down. There's no tents. There's no anything. We are looking like it's just a whole new look. And the most important thing, there's no crime. And we're going to fix the roads. We have great pavers. We're going to fix the medians in between the roads, which half of them are falling down. We're going to take some of the tiles off the bridges, the tunnels that you have. They've been up for 40 years. They're rotted. And we'll put up brand new, gorgeous white tiles like it's supposed to be. But this place is looking really good. And we haven't even started the real fixing up of the town. We're getting rid of the graffiti. You notice there's almost no graffiti anymore. A lot of that beautiful statuary marble had red graffiti all over it, had bad signs up, and it stopped. We've taken out 1,700 career criminals and people that came in through an open border. They came in through Biden's open border. And we've taken them out. The thing having to do with all of the elements in the great, big, beautiful bill, I'll tell you, it's amazing what we've done. $200 billion in costs for medical. What we've done, $50 billion for rural hospitals. And remember, no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on... Think of all of these things that we've done. This is the biggest, this is the greatest bill. Social Security, no tax on overtime. But no tax on tips. I got that from a waitress in Nevada. I was making a speech, and I'm at one of my restaurants in the hotel I own there, and I say, how are you doing? Well, sir, it's terrible. They're taxing my tips. They're going, I wouldn't have even thought that. And I looked at it, and she said to me, sir, there should be no tax on tips. I said, say it one time more. No tax on tips. I walked outside to the press. I said, there will be no tax on tips. She was right. And we won that state by a lot. That's not a state that we win by that much, David, but we won it by a lot. So it was pretty good. But that bill is chock full of so many different things. So it was the biggest bill. I'm actually saying this to the fake news so that they maybe print it, but maybe not, because you people know. It was the biggest bill ever passed in Congress. And what we did was a little risky. We put everything into the bill, John, right? Mm-hmm. And some people were against it. They said, no, you got to do small bites. And we gave it a shot, and we got it passed. I got a call from John. He said, it was 3 o'clock in the morning. Sir, we have 4 hard no's. Could you please call him? I said, what time is it, John? It's 4 o'clock in the morning, sir. So I call up. One of you is sitting right here. I said, Jim, could I say hello to you? It's 4 o'clock in the morning, right? He said, sir, you have my vote. I said, wow. Then I called up another person. I'll use fictitious names. Doug, could I get your vote? You've got it, sir. Then I called up another one. How about Josh? Could I have your vote, Josh? Because I like Josh. And Josh, who can be very difficult, said, sir, you have my vote. His wife was screaming at him on the other side. Sir, you have my vote. But I called people. And they weren't really hard-nosed. They wanted a little attention, unfortunately, at 4 in the morning. Sometimes I like the ones that don't like the attention, but we'll take it anywhere we can. And we got it passed, right, John? And nobody thought that could happen because you have a small majority. And in the how about in the House, we had a majority of 3. We actually went down after that for a period of about 2 months. We went down to a majority in the House of 1. And I kept saying, you know, because I'll tell you, Mike Johnson's great. The team, these 2 teams, did you ever see 2 people more different? One's tall, one's slightly less tall. We want to be polite. They are very different people, but they're the same in terms of talent. They did the 2 guys, and they get along incredibly well. We all do. We get along great. But we passed a bill. We don't need to pass any more bills. We got everything in that bill. There's nothing else we have to put. We got the largest tax cuts in history. We got the extension of the Trump tax cuts. We got all of these things. And, you know, remember, they lie. They will look at I saw it the other day, they were talking about, I call it the great big beautiful bill, but that's what it is, the great big beautiful, the biggest bill ever passed. And what they say, they make up stories. And I saw they were interviewing a senator, and they said, well, what's wrong with their bill? He didn't know what to say, because there's nothing he could say. It covers everything. He said, death. It brings death. Now, if I'm a regular person and I hear that, I say, oh, that's terrible. But it's just the opposite. It brings life. It brings Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security. It secures all those things. And they just are so bad. You know, they said death. It was like death. And there's nothing about death. Theirs is death, because they're going to lose Medicaid. They're going to lose Social Security. They're going to lose Medicare. All of those things are going to be gone because the whole country would be bankrupt, and you're not going to have any kind of medical insurance. So with us, it's the opposite. And it's a great bill. We don't need any more. And I want to just say from the beginning, our message has been very simple. We will not be extorted on this crazy plot of theirs. They've never done this before. Nobody has. You always vote for an extension. Chuck Schumer and the Senate Democrats need to vote for the clean, bipartisan CR and reopen our government. It's got to be reopened right now. We're not doing that. They are the obstructionists. And the reason they're doing it is because we're doing so well. We're doing well all over the world. We're doing well with the close to $20 trillion that I just told you about. It will be that number, but even if you take it down to over 17, that's a guarantee. We're doing well with everything. Car plants are pouring back into our country. AI plants, we're leading. We're dominating China right now in AI. And I did something that I think you'd like, because we have an old grid. It's a tired grid. It doesn't have the juice that you need to fire up these plants. You know, these plants will need more than double the energy we have right now for the whole country. That's how big it is. And we can't do that. There's no way we can do that. China's building right now 52 power stations. But I did something better. I'm letting everybody build their own power plant, so they'll become like an electric utility in addition to AI. But if they want to build their own plant and we get their approvals within less than a month, it used to take 5 years prior to rejection. Sometimes a guy in Louisiana, they had one that took 12 years, and then they got rejected. I got it approved in 2 weeks when I got into office. That was the first term. And the plant is up now, and it's been a great thing for the state. I did it twice, actually. I got 2 of them that were dead after 12 years, and I got them approved, both of them in less than a week. And that's what we're doing. Lee Zeldin, by the way, is doing a phenomenal job, Environmental Commission, I have to tell you. He knows that we have to get them fast, and we're getting them fast. So we're leading China in the AI race by a lot. Under Biden, Democrats voted 13 times for continuing resolutions to keep the government open. And all we want is simply to ask them to do it once again. They always voted for it. They never voted against it. Nobody votes against it. But they do that, and they do. It's partially my fault. I mean, I'm watching you, and I'm looking at all these great faces that I've seen, really great people. I think with few exceptions, a couple of you I don't like that much, but with few exceptions, great people. And you look at what they do, and you look at the game they play, and it's a horrible game. And, you know, we have the hottest country ever. This is the hottest country anywhere in the world. And I say this, I'm sure you've heard me say it, but I was over in the Middle East, and the King of Saudi Arabia and others also said essentially the same thing. They said, you know, President, a year and a half ago, your country was dead. We never thought we'd see this. And right now, you have the hottest country
That's true.
anywhere in the world. We do. We have the hottest country anywhere in the world, which tells you about leadership, and that includes your leadership. So as you know, my door is always open to anyone. It's not like that AOC. How about her, where she said, she's talking about having rebellions and everything. She said, well, my door is always open. But she's not the leader. I'm sure the leaders felt very nicely about when she said her door is open. Who the hell wants to go into her door anyway? She doesn't know what the hell she's talking about. She's the one that started. You know, I remember, I'll never forget, she never took a course on the environment. And I watched her one day, and she was on television. She said, yes, our planet will be dead within 12 years. That was a long time ago. Our planet was supposed to be dead. Remember the 12-year theory? We were environmentally dead. Now, these people, they've got an agenda that nobody quite understands. The good news is they don't understand it either. They really have no idea. But the people do. The people understand. We're giving you the biggest tax cuts in history. All of these things, it all adds up that we should do fantastically well in the midterm. The only thing wrong with the midterms is that statistically, when you look, a president gets elected, and for some reason, and nobody, even the great John Thune, cannot explain to me, for some reason, even if he's a reasonably good president, and we've had success like nobody, but for some reason, you lose the midterms. I don't know why. I mean, the odds are tremendously against, like 92% or something.
Yep.
It doesn't make sense. If you have a great presidency, it only makes sense that you win the midterm. So there should be no reason for it. Somebody's going to explain there might be some dark, deep psychological reason where they want to vote the opposite way. I don't know what it is, but we have to win the midterms. Otherwise, all of the things that we've done, so many of them are going to be taken away by the radical left lunatics. I mean, we're going to end up with a communist mayor in New York. Can you believe it? A communist. Remember, I would always say, we will not have a socialist elected in our country. Remember, I'd say that all the time. And I was right. We skipped socialists. We got a communist elected. So I didn't tell a lie.
Even worse, he's Ugandan.
I didn't tell a lie. I was right. We'll have a communist, not a socialist. But we've already seen the impacts of the dangerous game that they're playing. Democrats are causing delays in our air traffic control system. So important. We wouldn't have had, you know, this Pete Buttigieg. He spent billions of dollars on fixing the air traffic control. They'd use copper wire going into glass wire. Any union electrician here or any non-union electrician would say you can't hook copper into glass. It doesn't work. They spent billions of dollars. They turned on the system, and it was stone cold blank. We're getting a brand new system. We have bids out now. We have 3 great companies bidding. And I want one bid. Sean Duffy's doing terrifically. I want one bid. I want just bid, and they're responsible for everything. Not where they had like 1,000 contractors. Every contractor, they're all running around. In the end, if one of them does a bad job, we want to be able to blame somebody, and it's going to be one of the very big companies because there's a lot of interest in it. So the air traffic control system is going to be rebuilt. Over 1 million federal workers right now, as you know, are going unpaid. That's the Democrats' fault. And children, tourists, unable to visit the museums in Washington, D.C., that we now have beautiful, safe streets, but we don't have the museums open. We should probably just open them. But we are doing things that nobody's ever done, nobody's ever seen. So all of this and the pain that the Democrats have caused during this reckless and completely unnecessary affair, and you could call it the Schumer shutdown or the Democrat shutdown. You can call it whatever you want. And I will say this, that we have Darth Vader. You know Darth Vader, right? Darth Vader is a man who, I think he's sitting right. Is that Darth? Stand up, please, Darth Vader.
Stand up,
Stand
Darth
up.
Vader.
Does everybody know? They call him Darth Vader. I call him a fine man. But he's cutting Democrat priorities, and they're never going to get him back. And they've caused us, and they've really allowed us to do it. And by the way, thank you. You're doing a great job, I have to tell you. So really a great job. Because many of the things that they're cutting, like the New York project, $20 billion we're cutting it, they're not going to get it back. I mean, they're not going to get a lot of things back. They may not get it back. Maybe we'll talk to them about it. But they're losing all the things that they wanted. But many of the things that they wanted are things that we don't want. Things that are just so bad for our country. And we're cutting those things out. So while they thought they were doing maybe bad, maybe indirectly they're doing good. The cynical comment that they made all over the place, and all of their cynical remarks proves beyond all doubt that Schumer is a calculating political partisan. But we knew that. But he's somebody that's in deep trouble. He's losing in all of the polls. He's even losing to AOC +3. Remember +3? What happened to the +3? Are they still around? I had one. I met when I was at the United Nations, I met the president of Somalia, and I said, I have somebody I'd like to give back to you. He said, no, thanks. We don't want her. He didn't want anything to do with her. But today I'm calling on every Senate Democrat to stop the madness, to let our country get back. In the greatest moment in the history of our country, in terms of wealth, in terms of job creation, and in terms of investment coming in, these guys go on strike. It's really a shame. So I'm asking them to be smart. It's not working. They're getting killed in the polls. The public understands what they're doing. They're doing the wrong thing. And with that, I just want to say welcome to the White House. When we're finished, they do a great job. When they're finished, we're going to all come in. It'll be a little crowded, but that's okay. Into the Oval Office, we'll talk a little bit, couple of minutes. Got some interesting things. And I think I'd like to have, if I could, John, come up and say a few words, and we can close it out. And by the way, this is an open mic. It's open to the world. I think they can hear me out on the street. If anybody wants to come up and say after John, say it. We're all friends, and you can speak your heart out. But we've got to get our government open, and the Democrats are trying to keep it closed. Thank you. John, please.
Thank you, man. John Thune, big guy.
Well, Mr. President, thank you for having us. This is the fourth week of the Democrat shutdown, but we are all here today because your Republican team in the Senate is unified. This is now the longest full shutdown in history, but everybody here has voted now 11 different times to open up the government, and we are going to keep voting to open up the government, and eventually the Democrats, hopefully sooner or later, are going to come around. But, Mr. President, your agenda is the right one for this country. This is your team. We are your partners in achieving and implementing the agenda that you campaigned on and the American people voted for. And you just mentioned it has been a series of promises made and promises kept, whether it's national security, whether it's the border, whether it's the economy, taxes, regulations, energy, Trump newborn accounts, school choice. You look at what we've accomplished so far. It is a remarkable, remarkable team and a record of accomplishment that can't be matched. And I would argue, at least in my time here, but perhaps in all of history. So thank you for your leadership, and we will continue to be good partners and work with you to get the work done for the American people. And let's hope that the Democrats get wise and starting perhaps even today, vote to reopen the government so we can get back to work for the American people. Mr. President, thank you for having us at your home. You have beautiful homes, and thank you for everything you're doing to make this such a beautiful place. This is America's house. We're delighted to be here. Thank you.
Oh, we're getting some hints here, ladies and gentlemen. Trump, a hint from Trump, a hint from Thune. What's going on here? Now, this is open mic. Is anybody else? No? Okay, well, hold up. We've got a separate feed here. We'll see how long this one lasts. Okay, so maybe no one else is going up. Folks, let's quickly talk about this. We got a little bit of a hint from President Trump. He said, listen, after you guys have your lunch, now they're having their lunch, they're all going to chit-chat, the cameras are going away. It's a closed lunch. He said, listen, after lunch is over, everybody come on into the White House. We have some stuff to talk about, Republican senators. John, a little bit of a hint. What are they talking about? Some development. When we kicked off today's show about an hour and a half ago, we were talking about how Chuck Schumer is in the process of caving, how Chuck Schumer is capitulating. Chuck Schumer and the Democrats, they're figuring out which of the Democrats are going to hop on over and vote yes. There's that conversation amongst the Democrats right now. Okay, it's got to happen. We got to open up the government. It's day 21. Who's going to flop over and do it? Somebody's got to do it. So then John Thune got up and he said, we might even have the government reopen later today. Why would he say that? Well, I think that there's a little bit more going on here behind the scenes than we all know about, but we're getting some hints here. Now, beyond that, there's something I just want to say. Let's talk about the vibe here. This time, President Trump is back in the White House, and something has changed. If you think back to President Trump's first term, 2017 to 2021, President Trump did not have a friendly Congress. There were a bunch of rhinos in the U.S. House of Representatives, a bunch of rhinos in the Senate that pretty much refused to work with him. Of course, House Speaker at that time was Paul Ryan. Thank God he's gone now. Congress was infested with Republican rhinos, Republicans in name only. And at this point, they all hated President Trump. President Trump popped up out of nowhere. He seized the Republican Party. He turned it from the Republican Party into the America First Party. And the Republicans back then, they were not happy about it. They did everything they could to subvert and undermine his 2017, his first term America First agenda. In fact, if you remember, President Trump, well, remember, another thing here is the Republicans actually lost midterms halfway through President Trump's first term. They had the opportunity to give President Trump the funding he needed for the border wall and for mass deportations, which is what he campaigned on in 2017. The Republicans said, listen, Trump, we will give you the rhinos in Congress. They said, yeah, Trump, listen, we know you want funding, federal funding for a border wall. We know you want federal funding for mass deportations. Okay. We will give you the funding, but first you need to pass this and this and this. They wanted President Trump to sign off on their rhino agenda, and they lied to him. They said, Trump, if you sign off on the rhino agenda, if you pass this bill, that bill, this bill, then after you do our stuff, then we will sign off on the America First stuff, which is mass deportations and the border wall. President Trump, he was new on the block. He said, okay, all right, fair. Okay, we'll do that. Well, President Trump signed off on all the rhino bills, and then the rhinos, they backstabbed him. Not only did Paul Ryan, Speaker of the House, and the rest of the Republicans in Congress, not only did they not sign off on Trump's America First stuff in his first term, but then they lost midterms, and then they didn't even have the opportunity to do it. Okay? Got backstabbed. This time around, President Trump has learned a big lesson. I've seen a lot of people say, the big, beautiful bill, why does it have to be a big, beautiful bill? It's like the biggest bill ever. Why doesn't President Trump do a series of smaller bills? Maybe it will be easier to pass. There's a reason why the big, beautiful bill is big. President Trump said, listen, I got backstabbed the first time. No offense to all the people, all the Republicans in Congress now in 2025. No offense. I'm sure you guys are nice people. It's maybe a little bit of a different roster here, but listen, I'm not going to get backstabbed like I got backstabbed in 2017 and 2018. If you want anything from me, I'm the president. If you want a damn thing from me, it's going in the big, beautiful bill alongside my stuff, alongside the America First stuff that the American people voted for. That's why I'm the president. If you want a damn thing from me, if you want me to sign off on any single piece of Republican legislation, it's got to be in the same bill alongside the America First stuff that the American people voted for, and we're going to pass it all together. That is the story of why the big, beautiful bill is a big bill. That's why President Trump chose not to pass a series of smaller bills, because he didn't want to get backstabbed and bogged down like he did last time. All of it's going in the same bill. It's all or nothing. And that's the origin story of the big, beautiful bill. That's why it was big. That's why it was beautiful. And so that's how that happened. And so this time we do have a much more friendly America First Congress, senators and House reps. But that's the origin story of the big, beautiful bill. It had to be a big, beautiful bill. It had to be big because he didn't want to get betrayed again like he did the first time. But as you guys can tell, the vibe is totally different. President Trump does have a firm grasp on the House. He does have the Republican House reps are supporting him. The senators are obviously supporting him. And now the Democrats have done the only thing they can do, which is try to shut down the government. And they have. But that shutdown might be coming to an end. Folks, we're going to do something a little bit crazy today. I need to figure out, when is the Senate later today voting to reopen the government? Because what I think I might do, we might do an emergency. I mean, if you guys want, I'm kind of interested. I think we've got reason to believe the government shutdown might come to an end. Would you folks like to come back later today? I don't know. It might be 2, 3, 4 hours from now. I don't know. I need to figure it out real quick. Would you want later today to do a emergency Senate stream where we watch the Senate vote? We might have the government reopen today. That sounds fun to me. I don't know exactly when they are doing that. I'm going to try to figure this out, but I think we can do an emergency Senate stream at some point later today. When is the Senate voting to reopen? If somebody can help me figure this out, to reopen the government today, it's 10:21. Okay, I'm going to try to figure out okay, everybody's saying yes. Okay, cool. I'm going to try to figure out the exact time. Well, let me take a look here. Key details. Well, here I'm seeing that I'm on Grok. I'm asking Grok. Grok is not always right. It's saying there is no vote today. I'm going to pull this up on Google. Allegedly, there is no vote today, according to Grok. Senate vote shutdown. So I'm going to figure this out real quick. Thank you for tuning in today. Today was a fun day. I really like doing these live coverage events. It's a little bit of a breakup from the normal schedule. So thank you everybody for being here. I appreciate that. We're going to figure out what time this is going on today. So on Monday, yesterday, the Senate voted and it failed. That was the 11th time. I'm seeing the schedule here. No vote on advancing the funding bill is scheduled for Tuesday. That's today. Okay, so, maybe there's no vote today. I'm not seeing that. I'm not seeing that anywhere. And then I'm having some folks in the chat say it's scheduled for 2:30 Eastern today. Well, I'm not seeing that. I'll tell you what. I'm not seeing that at all. Okay, how about this? Okay, here's what I'll say, because we do need to wrap up our morning broadcast. I will tentatively go live later today. If there is a vote, I'll keep tabs. I'll see what's going on. I might be back at some random time later today if there is a vote to reopen the government. I'm not sure if there is. So I'm going to look into this. I'm going to go offline here and look into this. If there is no vote later today, then we will have our normal, regularly scheduled broadcast at 4 p.m. Western, 7 p.m. Eastern. So either way, you will be getting a broadcast later on today. 7 p.m. Eastern is the normal broadcast time. Or there might be an emergency broadcast if they are having a vote. Okay, so that's the plan. And I'll see you when I see you, but I will see you later today. I want to say thank you, everybody, for tuning in this morning. Thank you. This was a great early morning broadcast. Things are moving along. So thank you all for being here. I appreciate it. Everybody make sure to subscribe and drop a follow. I really do appreciate everybody. I'll see you folks later this afternoon. And until then, everybody, God bless, stay safe, and thank you for being here. So I'll see you folks at some point later today. Thank you, guys.